Graeme Crawford, and I've been known as the dog guy, or Point Proven Kennels, as an amateur hunting dog trainer and handler. My first introduction with hunting dogs came a little later on in my life, more so than what people think. Everyone thinks I must have been surrounded by hunting dogs my whole life, or my father or grandfather or somebody had an introduction to it. But the reality was I didn't really get introduced to it when I was 20, and it was in Alberta. And the family members that I was going with at that time, my uncle-in-law, was telling me how these bird dogs were going to work, and it didn't in my head make sense. Like, I remember asking them 3 or 4 times. So they run around and then they smell upland game and they point them, and then you walk up, they fly up, you shoot them, and they bring them back to you. And I remember asking them that question about 3 or 4 times, and my love for it happened instantaneously, watching these dogs work with such purpose and float through the uplands with such ease, and just such a directed, all their mannerisms were just totally directed towards finding these birds. So I've been running my own hunting dogs for 15 years, and I kind of went, like I do most things in my life, I went full bore into it, and I've really obviously enjoyed it. You know, I started off with 1 dog, and then I think 2 or 3 years later that turned into 3. So it happened pretty quick, and then from here on then I wanted to train to the highest standard, and things elevated pretty quickly there. Yeah, so it's been about 16 years. Watching the dogs do their job, I think, is one of my favorite things about bird dogs. Personally, I have worked very closely with several flushing dogs, upland, like versatile pointing dogs, and then now the retrievers, and I just get such a rush from watching them excel at what they were bred for. And I think that's one of the coolest processes I've ever seen, and watching how they naturally handle those things, and handle what they're bred for their condition, and how valuable that they can be in the scenarios that they're trained or bred for. My draw to bird dogs is several things. I think I almost get misty-eyed talking about it. Like, we just lost Johnny Cash, and I think it's just all the memories that we made together, and just the bond that you have. Like, it's really impossible to explain unless you've gone through it, because you have these, as a pet, you develop quite a bond with the dog, and as a working dog, you develop that relationship as a pet, but then also as a working dog, and you spend so much more time, and you go on so many trips, and you experience so many things, and obviously frustrations at times with training on how we going to communicate with one another. And then one day when that all comes together and you're kind of a well-oiled machine together, that bond is inseparable. It's something that's tough to put into words, because you get so close with them, you know them so well. They can read you, you can read them, and it's just such a, I don't know if I really answered the question there, but it's a different attachment, and it's a relationship. We have work relationships with people, we have partner relationships with people at home, and the relationship with that working dog it's just so different. The best advice I could give to anybody getting into bird dogs is find a breeding that suits what you want out of that dog. And I mean that a lab, just because it's a purebred lab, doesn't mean that it can handle a hardcore hunting scenario. Or when sometimes people come and they see Whiskey, my high drive English pointer, well, that doesn't mean that's the right dog for you. We have people that they say, I want a hardcore dog that's going to be hunting several days of the year. I travel down south. Well, an English pointer might be from that breeding, might be the right one from you. Whereas you have somebody that wants a 20% hunting dog, or 10% hunting dog, and an 80% pet, 90% pet. Well, my setters seem to adapt very well to that life. So the biggest thing is finding the right breeding for what you want, the right drive out of those dogs for what you want. And then the other thing is read and get immersed and watch training videos and this and that. But when you start following advice, stick to a path. There is many ways to train any of these dogs from start to finish. But my best advice would be that once you start going on a path, stick with that person to help, because you can get taken off a path very quickly and start confusing the dog. Many of us, we have our own paths that we like to take towards it. Now that path might vary a little bit, but we have a system that we know that we can deviate if we start seeing issues with. And if you start throwing too many paths at that dog in different ways to get there, you can really confuse them. Having experienced these bird dogs now for 15 years and various other bird dogs, that is what they live for, day in and day out. They love us. They need that affection, but they also need that work, and that work drives their whole life. It's something that consumes them and takes them over. It's something that it's really tough to explain when you say this dog has so much, like these dogs have so much drive. It's very different than what a lot of people have ever experienced. Even when you see Rowdy just with a bumper, like the sheer, like his ears get pin pulled back and his eyes get huge. Watching that excitement and joy overcome them is quite amazing. And even like June, who we work today, around the house she's just a couch potato, and then you take her outside and she's comes unglued with energy, and that is very addicting, that passion for what they love to do. And that's one of the biggest things that they have, is so much passion for this work.